Sis, how many times have you told yourself, I'm just being understanding? You bend, adjust, overlook, and explain away behaviors you know aren't fully honoring yourself. You call it patience, flexibility, or even love, but deep down, you feel a little bit smaller. The truth is, many of us settle in disguise. We call self sacrifice understanding because we don't want to seem difficult, demanding, or unloving. But every time we dim our lights for someone else, we chip away at the very love, respect, and joy that we are seeking. That's why today we're uncovering the ways that strong Black women settle without realizing it, how it shows up in our relationships, and what freedom looks like when you stop excusing your own needs. Today we're talking about settling in disguise when understanding becomes self sacrifice. With that being said, let's jump into the first point where we are thinking about understanding versus over giving. Being understanding is different from constantly sacrificing your boundaries. We're not here to sacrifice boundary after boundary and still feel like we are who we say we are, who we portray ourselves to be, or who are we performing to be. Overgiving often masquerades as love, but is really a mask for fear of conflict. For example, maybe you keep saying, it's fine, when you actually wanted him to change. But you're saying it's fine because you're trying to avoid the argument that could possibly come up based off of past behaviors and stuff that you're used to. So you're like, I am going to not say anything about this. I'm just going to say I'm fine because the past has told me when I open up my mouth to actually explain my own feelings, my own wants, my own needs, my own desires, it doesn't go well for me. What Psychology Today reports in 2022 study, 68% of women report staying silent about needs and relationships to maintain the peace. That's a big number. 68% of women in your romantic relationship with the partner that you're saying that you want to be with and or that you have said I do to, you're deciding to stay silent to maintain the peace. Here's what I'll say. A lot of this has to do with us not slowing down enough to make better choices in partners. I've said it before, we cannot continue to point the finger at the other person, although there is some blame over there. A lot of it has to do with us not doing our own inner work. And when we fail to do our inner work, we attract where we are at. If we have low self-esteem in an area or areas, best believe the person that you are attracting has low self-esteem himself in an area or two or more, right? So you attract where you're at. You attract the way that your belief systems are. There are similar belief systems to the person that you are attracting. With that being said, we want to do things differently. That's actually why I created this quiz. It is a tool for you to understand the patterns that keep showing up in your life, that keep showing up on the dating scene, that keep showing up in the people that you decide to say, yes, I want to be in a relationship with this person. And then there is a breakup that is occurring. It's because those patterns, those old things, the baggage that we keep bringing into our relationships. The tool is a quiz. It is called What's Blocking You from Being Soft in Love. There is a link in the description box as well as in the first comment, depending on where you are watching this or listening to this from. But I highly recommend that you take this quiz because, again, it's not only going to break down what your softness archetypes are, it's also going to send you over a 3-page action plan. So not only are you taking what you're learning from the quiz, you're also able to put in play in action the things that now, you know what, I saw this is my area of weakness. This is my archetype, what's blocking me from being in love. When I took the quiz, now the action plan is giving you some actions to take, to put into place so you can start being better in the area that is really crippling you in your relationships and not being able to get to the next level. Don't be a part of the 68% of women that are just staying silent about their needs, specifically for their romantic relationship, just to keep the peace. It's never going to work out for you in the long haul, on the long haul, in the long haul, on the whatever. It's not gonna work out for you. There's also the cost of excusing the bad behavior that keeps happening over and over again. Making excuses for his behavior trains him and your own expectations. Making excuses for his bad behavior only trains him to continue to do said bad behavior. And of course, once we are used to bad behavior, what does it do? It escalates. It continues to be worse and worse and worse until finally we said, I had enough. But why even get to that point? Stop excusing bad behavior. Stop sweeping it under the proverbial rug and actually enforce the boundaries that you created. If you have not created said boundary off of the particular thing that's happening right now, now it's time to have a face-to-face adult conversation to say, hey, I understand that this happened. I was really disappointed. I was really pissed off, whatever your verbiage is, right? Say that. But then also say, I would really like, give them a solution. I would really like it if you do ABC. Now, just because you introduce a solution does not mean that the party, your partner in this case, is going to automatically say, yes, let's do that. I actually, you know what? That works for me. Now they might, and that's great. But if they don't, it actually is not so much about you. It's not so much about them going along with your solution. What it is most people, when they go and complain, that's the only thing that they do. They just go and complain. What they fail to realize is they would get better results if they actually complain. Yes, I'm still saying complain or speak up for the thing that you're asking them to stop doing. Yes, absolutely. The part where people fail is that they only go with the complaint. They forget about the solution and or the potential for a solution. So when you go and say, this would happen, I didn't like this, it made me feel ABC. I would like it when you do blah, blah, blah. I would like it when you do is the solution. Keeping in mind that it doesn't mean that they're going to go along with your solution. But what it does do is that it opens up the door for the two of you to continue to have a conversation about what works for the both of you and how to stop said behavior that you were complaining about from happening over and over again. Now, pro tip, here's a pro tip right here. This is like advanced level in your relationship when things are going well. Because this is something new, it's a new behavior that you want to turn into a habit. It's going to take them a while to master it. So we have to be able to give them a grace period to implement said action that the both of you talked about and for it to stop occurring over and over again. He might slip up the next time and not even think about it, right? So there has to be a grace period put in place once you say this is, I didn't like ABC. The solution, I would like for you to do ABC, whether they say yes or come back and say, no, I don't like that at all. How about I do, right? It's really to help the two of you have another tool to decrease the arguments, to decrease the misunderstandings, to decrease the sweeping things under the rug. So the resentment is starting to build up because we're not taking care of these things. It reduces the amount of arguments that you're having specifically about this thing. And then once you master this, you'll notice that your relationship is even more smooth because once you master a skill, you can use it in different parts of your relationship. It's not for you to know about it and master it just for this one thing. It's to now take it, okay, the next time an expectation is not met, a boundary is crossed, you can take the same thing. Hey, when you did ABC, I didn't like it. How about you do blah, 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 blah. And you can continue to do that thing until the two of you are now getting on one accord and things are starting to sail smoothly in your relationship. This takes practice. This takes the two of you being adults. This takes both of you continuously choosing to be in that relationship and to create a healthy relationship together. You two have to be on one accord. Remember, I said we attract where we're at, and a lot of us are not doing this deeper inner work before we jump into the relationship. So if you're consistently pushing back and not doing your inner work, you will consistently have a tumultuous relationship, or you will go through where you're consistently bringing in your baggage. And I'm saying you, but it could be your partner too. Because if both of you are not on your healing journey, if the both of you are not or neglecting to do your inner work on your own as well as together, right? You two will not be together for the long haul. It's just a fact of the matter. And so understanding that um, that you are collecting data, that you are collecting these tools. Now it's time to implement them into your life so you can bring down these statistics that I am bringing up, where you're 68% of women who are being silent about their needs, right? You don't want to do that. Studies show patterns of repeated excuse making are linked to lower relationship satisfaction over time. So the more that you make excuses for your partner, the more that you are like picking up the bag, if you will, for him, because you're tired of explaining the same thing to your friends and family about the same habits and behaviors that he's doing that doesn't make the two of you look good as a couple together, as well as him having the best for you in mind. You're going to have lower relationship satisfaction because you're repeatedly making excuses for him and why he continues to treat you this way. And honestly, why you continue to take said treatment. Because after a while, people start to look at you a certain way too, whether they voice it out to you or not. Coach Marshaun, Big Sis, is here to tell you, after a while of your family, your friends, they can continuously see you continue to attract and or go down these roads with the same type of partner over and over again. They start to question you, not just the person. And after a while, they're like, why do we keep even listening to you complain about said habit or said behavior, said thing that's happening to you when you are not doing anything about it? It's one thing to listen, to vent, to be the listening ear. It's another thing to take on all of your emotional baggage when you have yet to decide, I, me, you in said situation is going to do something about it. If you're not willing to do anything about it, at some point you have to stop complaining about it, because it only makes you look bad, but it also makes the partner look bad and your relationship as a whole. Your people, whether they voice it out or not, they're secretly believing, I can't wait till this relationship is over. That's why it's so important for us to slow down, for us to do this inner work. The best time to do your inner work is when you're a child and you're learning these skills. But most of us didn't learn these skills as a child. So now your second best time is when you're listening to this. So begin today. Start thinking about all of the areas that you have heard people complain to you about, or thinking about, like, keep attracting men that treat me like shit. Why? And then go through, write down everything that you can think of answering that question. Don't worry about if it makes sense right now, but write down everything and then get a clear picture of all of the things that you have listed. And after you have a clear picture of all the things that you have listed, now you can see what not to do and or what not to accept from people when they come into your life. You've given yourself a blueprint to say, I'm going to do things differently. Okay. Here's another thing that happens when you're settling in disguise. When your flexibility becomes self erosion. One of the things that came to mind during this is when we are um, adjusting for your partner's convenience, right? That's fine occasionally, but not all the time, not at your own expense, where there's something that you planned that you really wanted to do. And all of a sudden, because he came to you with last minute, whatever the thing is, now you're switching up everything that you wanted to do in order to appease. So you are adjusting to fit your partner. It's fine occasionally. It is not fine every single time or the majority of the time. Because in relationships, we really should stay away from words like always and never. Because if it was always and never, more times than not, you wouldn't be in that relationship. So at some point, the person is able to give the things that you want. But if it's the majority of the time where you're able to sit there and think and say, you know what, it's not every time, but it's enough times for me to be able to remember that this is becoming and or is a problem. They've done it a lot. They've done it a lot. And again, it's okay once you're aware and then be able to make an informed decision. What am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? Because it's really up to you on what you're going to do next. We justify staying small. This is another way that we are settling in disguise. There's social conditioning, which teaches women specifically to prioritize others' comfort over their own growth. Sometimes this is fine. It's okay to compromise or to settle sometimes. But if you feel like you have been conditioned to always, yes, there's that word. If you feel like you have been conditioned to always prioritize somebody else's wants, needs, comfort over your own, there is a problem with that. And seriously, you are settling in disguise. You don't want to sacrifice yourself all the time, or even the majority of the time, for other people's comfort. It does nothing for you. Maybe you find yourself rationalizing sacrifices as love or even as understanding, but ignoring the red flags because he's going through a hard time is something that you're only going to pay for over the long haul. Because again, he's used to you adjusting. He's used to you giving up whatever it is that you wanted to do for his last minute plans. Don't rationalize that like, oh, he just loves me so much, because can I just be honest with you? It doesn't matter how busy a person is, when they really want to be with you and spend time with you, and they're super excited of where the relationship is going, they will make sure that they do just that. I was listening to old football player at this point, Peyton Manning, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it was Peyton Manning. And he was talking about like what at the height of his career as a professional football player, how he just wanted to talk to his wife, but cell phones weren't really super accessible and they couldn't have him on the field anyway. And so what he decided to do is whenever he was out on the field for one of his professional games, he said, I don't know what came over me, but they always have a phone on the field. And he was like, I don't know what came over me. I just happened to dial 9 to see if I can get an outside line. He got an outside line and he dialed his home number. His wife answered. They had a conversation, but the very first time she was like, what are you doing? Like, how are you calling me? Aren't you getting ready to play a game? Like, she was really shocked. And he was like, I just wanted to call you and tell you that I'm thinking about you and that I love you. At the height of his career, Peyton Manning still made time for his to excuse me. Peyton Manning still made time for him to make his wife feel special, to make his wife feel seen, to let her know I'm thinking about you. Not only am I thinking about you, I love you. Yes, I'm getting ready to play this game, but I wanted to talk to you. People are only busy when they don't want to be bothered. I'm not saying that people aren't truly busy. We are and do have um, obligations that need to be prioritized. Got that. However, comma, when you're with someone that wants you, that likes you, that wants the relationship to move forward, even if you know that they have a busy schedule, they will carve out 5 minutes of their time. They walking into a building. They're getting ready to go to the bathroom. They're leaving a meeting, right? They will make time to say, you know what, I only got a few minutes, but I was thinking about you. I just wanted you to know that I love you. I just wanted you to know that I was thinking about you. I just want you to know that I'm confirming the plans. I'm so excited to see you. When somebody is into you, they will show you that they are into you, and there will be no guessing that they are into you, including in your relationship. Not just in the dating stages of what I'm talking about. This is including in your relationship. Black women are more likely to report being socialized to put others' needs first. We're socialized, we're conditioned by our ancestors, by society, by some of the pressures that we're putting on ourselves, by being in toxic relationships and not dealing with and understanding your worth and continuously building up your self-esteem, continuously building up your self-worth, going to and or investing in things that are going to make us better, specifically for our relationships. Because we don't have a problem investing in other things. We don't have a problem investing in the stock market. We don't have a problem investing in real estate. We don't have a problem investing in our education. We don't have a problem investing in the way that we look, our outer body, whether it's our physique, like working out, exercise, and or clothing, hair, nails, etc. We don't have a problem with all of the aesthetics. What I find is that when it comes to investing in getting to the next level in our love lives, a lot of us have a lot of pushback. But it's just like anything else. If you don't have the answers on how to get ahead in your career, what did you do? You went to school and got the schooling, and then you got the job, and then you have a mentor on the job. Translate that to your romantic relationship. If you don't know what's going on in a romantic relationship and why these things keep happening and why you keep attracting men that's fine, you don't have a problem attracting them. You have a problem keeping them. A lot of that is because you haven't invested in doing the inner work. Investing with a coach that's going to help you to cut out 15 to 20 years of reading a whole lot of books. Now, I'm not knocking books because that's where I started. If you need to start in books, start in books. If you need to start in courses, start in courses. But the best and fastest way to get to the next level in your relationship and open up your eyes so you can see the blind spots is to work with a coach. Maybe it is going through therapy. Maybe it is going through a counselor. Maybe it is sitting down with a couple or couples that you know can give you some real marriage advice, relationship advice, because you notice that they have a healthy relationship. I'm not saying that everybody is qualified just because they're in a relationship. What I am saying, though, is look for qualified people that have your best interests at heart, that are helping you get to the next level. And when you do that, you will notice that your beliefs about relationships, your beliefs about love, your beliefs about yourself, the confidence in yourself, your self-esteem, all of those things rise up exponentially by having the right people in your ear, by reading the right things, by intentionally taking the actions that's going to get you ahead. Another thing about settling in disguise, guilt. Guilt keeps you compliant. Guilt convinces you to ignore your needs. Guilt helps you to think that breaking the patterns starts with noticing when guilt is controlling your choices. Breaking the pattern starts when you notice when guilt is controlling your choices. Like, for example, like feeling bad for asking him to contribute to the household chores. Now, obviously, this is if the two of you live together and maybe you've gone past the whatever stage that gets you into the house together. Let me just leave it like that, because for some people, it's completely different than others. Okay, moving past that. You feel bad with asking for help, not realizing that if you don't ask for help today, or don't set the standard that you need help, that in order for this relationship to work, for the two of us to be in it, and for both of us to be happy with being in this relationship, it needs to go a certain way. Instead of you feeling like, I need to voice this, you're like, no, I'm gonna take it on. I'm gonna figure this out. When in fact, nobody's saying that he has to help you per se. Okay. What I mean by per se, maybe when you take the conversation to him, he's like, you know what, cleaning is not my thing. I don't want to clean. How about we hire someone to come in X amount of days to make sure the house is at the standard that you want it to be at? Does that work for you? That's still giving you help. Might not be what you were thinking, because maybe you wanted to clean up and laugh and joke and play around. Maybe you saw your parent or another couple doing this when they clean up the house together. But maybe that might not work for the both of you in your relationship, and that's why I think we get messed up at. Right? Let me close this door. He's giving you help in some type of way. It might not be the way that you thought or want it to be, but it's still help in some way. It's the reframe. But don't keep yourself silent, because you will be overworked, complaining. Resentment is going to start to build up. You're going to be frustrated about him. You're going to be frustrated about the relationship. And everything that you see from your lens when it comes to him will be negative. All because you made a choice to shut this down. You have to be willing to still speak up and ask for the things that you want, need, and deserve in your relationship. It doesn't mean that 100% is going to work out, meaning that it's going to go the way that in your mind you believe that this thing should be happening. But ask yourself, is it happening? Or are you still complaining? Are you still longing for the thing to work, to unfold? So it's just a matter of how we are looking at these things to reframe it. But do not continue to stay silent just for the sake of keeping the peace. There is a way, like your tone matters, the timing matters, all of these things matter, but it doesn't mean stop talking. It doesn't mean stop bringing the things that are hurting you, hurting your relationship to your partner's attention. You still should bring it to their attention, but you do have to get better at your delivery. That's a different story. Moving on. Do not let guilt keep you compliant. 71% of women say guilt prevents them from expressing their boundaries. Don't do that. Don't do that. Be a part of the 29% that are speaking up, that have higher relationship satisfaction. 35% of couples have higher relationship satisfaction just by speaking up and asking for what they need in the relationship. And then there is small wins, practicing these small wins so you stop settling in disguise. And one of the ways to do that is just to start by asking the small things to be respected. That's a whole nother video, because respect looks different for each person. However, if you have a conversation on specifically what respect means in your relationship, the both of you can really look at things differently and continuously start to respect the small things and one another, and have a more seamless relationship. Being understanding doesn't have to cost you your joy, your time, or your peace. Settling in disguise is a pattern, baby, but patterns can be broken, my sister. If you're ready to stop excusing less than you deserve and start loving with clarity and boundaries, take my quiz. What's blocking you from being soft in love? It'll help you to uncover those hidden patterns, keeping you from the love and the intimacy that you truly want and deserve. I love you guys, and there's nothing that you can do about it. I thank you so much for being here. Next week, we talk about another interesting topic. So come back next week. I will see you then.